Since the beginning of time, people have been trying to go beyond everyday life, to escape the burden of the mind and let go of their worries. Over the centuries, we've found many ways to break free from reality, but one of the most common and enduring is alcohol. It's become the go-to escape more than anything else. These days, alcohol is part of both our celebrations and our sorrows. It fuels creativity, but it also leads to forgetting. Even with all the global production, advertising, legal access, and widespread drinking, most people rarely stop to think about, let alone understand, the spiritual impact alcohol actually has. So today we're going to dive into that, to uncover what really happens to us on a spiritual level when we drink, and to explore what ancient traditions and great spiritual teachers have said about alcohol and its hidden effects. The history of alcohol isn't just the story of a substance. It's a narrative deeply woven into humanity's pursuit of transcendence, of alchemy, and of connecting with the divine. To truly understand it, we have to go back to the roots of the word itself and uncover its hidden meaning. In Arabic, the word Al-Kuhul originally referred to a fine powder, used as a cosmetic to darken the eyes, what we now call kohl. But for alchemists, this word carried a deeper meaning. To them, Al-Kuhul represented something immaterial, an essence that could be distilled, the soul of a substance, a spirit captured through the alchemical process. In essence, the Arabic word Al-Kuhul meant body-eating spirit. In alchemy, alcohol came to symbolize a volatile essence, a spirit that separates from raw matter. Maybe that's why even today we still call alcoholic drinks spirits. The use of alcohol as a fermented drink goes back even further. Ancient civilizations like the Sumerians, Egyptians, and Greeks considered alcohol a divine gift. In ancient Mesopotamia, wine and beer were offered to the gods during rituals. In Egypt, wine was connected to Osiris, the god of fertility and renewal. The Greeks dedicated wine to Dionysus, the god of ecstasy and divine madness. Yet while alcohol was honored as a bridge to the divine, it came with warnings. To the sages of the ancient world, wine had the power to reveal the true self, but it could also cloud judgment and open doors to harmful influences. In Islamic tradition, the word al-kuhl came to describe alcohol obtained through distillation. Even though drinking was forbidden in Islam, Muslim alchemists continued studying distillation, developing it into a refined scientific practice. One of the most famous Arab alchemists, Jabir ibn Hayyan, known in the West as Geber, was among the first to record the distillation process, helping shape alcohol as we know it today. The legacy of alcohol grew beyond alchemy and became a part of daily life. But over the centuries, a substance once respected for its spiritual connection began to serve a completely opposite purpose. Alcohol is more than just something that affects the body and mind. It interacts directly with the human energy field, what many call the aura. To grasp its true effect, we must explore the subtle space, where modern science and spirituality meet. All esoteric traditions agree on a core truth. Humans are not only made of flesh and bone, We are energy in motion, surrounded by vibrational fields that exchange information with the cosmos. This energy field, often called the aura, reflects our spiritual vitality, and it's here that alcohol has its most profound and least understood effect. When we drink alcohol, it enters the physical body and changes chemical processes in the brain and liver. But in the energetic body, alcohol acts as a destabilizer. It causes rips or holes in a person's energy field, leaving them open to negative external forces. Rudolf Steiner, one of the founders of anthroposophy, said that alcohol weakens the spiritual self, allowing harmful energies to influence the psyche. This energetic vulnerability can attract thought forms, astral larvae, or even entities that feed on addiction, known in Spiritism as obsessing spirits. These ruptures in the aura are dangerous because they weaken our connection to the higher self, that divine inner spark that guides and protects us. Instead of staying centered and aligned with our essence, we become scattered, like a boat without a rudder in rough waters. That's why many people say they feel emotionally unstable, spiritually cut off, or mentally foggy. After drinking a lot of alcohol, alcohol also deeply affects the chakras. It overstimulates the root chakra, linked to earthly pleasure and survival, while weakening the crown chakra, which connects us to the divine. This creates a serious imbalance. We chase quick material satisfaction while avoiding deeper truths. Great spiritual teachers have always warned about this. In the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali stressed that keeping the body and mind pure is key to reaching higher states of consciousness. Paramahansa Yogananda, in Autobiography of a Yogi, wrote that alcohol dims the inner light of the spirit, clouding the clarity needed for real spiritual awareness. Even neuroscience supports this. Studies show that alcohol reduces activity in the frontal lobes, the area responsible for conscious thought and introspection. Alcohol's energetic impact can also be seen in group settings. When lots of people drink together, at parties or events, their energies start to mix uncontrollably. The energy of the space drops, becomes thicker and more chaotic, and people often act in more primitive ways. That's why many spiritual traditions suggest avoiding places where alcohol is widely used. Because the risks go beyond the individual, they affect the collective too. But there's hope. Human energy is incredibly resilient. Through spiritual practices like meditation, Reiki, yoga, and conscious intention, we can heal the energy field and bring it back into balance. But this takes work and commitment, a conscious decision to rise above material urges and reconnect with the divine. By understanding how alcohol affects your energy field, you can begin making more mindful decisions, choices that bring you closer to your true self. The fleeting pleasure of drinking comes at the cost of that connection to your essence. Alcohol has a powerful pull on humanity. For centuries, it's been praised in rituals, used as a tool for social connection, and sought after as a way to escape. But why? Even though we know how harmful it is to our body and mind, do we still feel drawn to it? What's behind this illusion that makes us crave something we know, deep down, will hurt us? At the root of this attraction is a deep disconnection from our true nature. Since ancient times, humans have searched for ways to escape the limits of body and mind. The desire for quick pleasure and relief from existential pain is part of being human. Alcohol shows up as a supposed answer, a magical drink that seems to ease our burdens and lift us into joy. A moment of freedom, but this is only an illusion. Alcohol gives us a false sense of freedom and joy. It intoxicates. For a brief time, it seems to wake us up. Feelings like anxiety, fear, and insecurity fade away. We feel more confident. The shy guy finally speaks to the girl he likes. We feel braver. But all these sensations are short-lived. They fool us into thinking we're free, when in truth we're drifting further from our true selves. In Hermetic tradition, it's said that humanity is always seeking unus mundus, a state of original unity, complete harmony with the cosmos. When we turn to alcohol to fill that inner emptiness, we're making a mistake. We look for wholeness in things outside of us, in the physical, in things that naturally drain us. Alcohol pretends to offer connection and wholeness, but the connection doesn't last, and we're left feeling even more empty. What we're really searching for is reconnection with our inner divinity, the peace and fullness that don't come from outside, but are already within us. Ancient sages like Plato and Lao Tzu spoke about the path to real freedom and enlightenment, a path that doesn't rely on short-term pleasure or temporary escape. In the Republic, Plato described the soul's journey upward as a process of freeing itself from the illusions of the material world. And in the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu taught that true peace comes from living in harmony with nature, flowing with the Tao, not through excess or escape. From a psychological point of view, alcohol feeds a pattern of emotional dependence. Most people don't drink just for fun. They often drink as a way to deal with emotional and existential pain. Alcohol acts as a sedative, something that feels good when we're overwhelmed, anxious, or stressed. It lowers stress and offers a false comfort, a brief moment of escape. It works like a pressure release valve for the stress of everyday life. But this is only a surface-level fix. It delays the moment when we face our own inner shadows. Instead of solving the problem, it hides it, creating a loop of running away and coming back to the same emptiness. True freedom and happiness don't come from extremes, not from indulgence and not from denial either, but from reconnecting with our true self, finding balance and nurturing our inner peace. The real issue isn't drinking itself. It's what makes you feel the need to drink. What is it that drives you to want to escape reality? Throughout history, many spiritual masters, prophets, and mystics have shared their insights about alcohol. Their words carry deep wisdom, not just to warn, but to protect us from the hidden dangers of this substance and its effect on our spiritual path. These teachings aren't just moral lessons. They're powerful guidance, rooted in love, meant to safeguard humanity's connection to the divine. In Vedic traditions, alcohol is seen as something that lowers sattva, the quality of purity and harmony. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that a balanced mind is key to accessing higher states of consciousness. Anything that disrupts that balance becomes a barrier on the spiritual path. According to these traditions, drinking alcohol increases the qualities of rajas, restless passion, and tamas, darkness and ignorance, destabilizing the seeker and weakening their ability to meditate and reflect inwardly. Buddha, in his teachings on the Noble Eightfold Path, warned about the danger of intoxicants. For him, anything that clouds the mind holds back spiritual progress because it blocks the clarity we need to see the ultimate truth. Nirvana. In many Buddhist communities, alcohol is completely avoided as part of shila, or ethical discipline. In Hermetic and alchemical traditions, alcohol was seen in a more complex way. It was respected as a powerful agent, able to draw out essences and transform raw materials, but it was also recognized as dangerous. A double-edged symbol, it represented both illumination and the risk of losing oneself. In the world of illusion, alchemists warned that careless use of alcohol could damage the energy body, opening doors to harmful forces on subtle planes of existence. An especially powerful view comes from Sufi tradition. Rumi, the great mystic poet, often used wine as a metaphor in his poetry, speaking of the wine of divine love that intoxicates the soul with God's presence. But he also warned against literal wine, which he said could lead seekers away from the path of awakening. For the Sufis, real ecstasy comes from spiritual connection, not from anything external. In Christianity, alcohol holds a unique place. Wine is a key symbol in the Eucharist, representing the blood of Christ and the new covenant with God. Yet early Christians and many saints warned about excess. St. Augustine wrote that drunkenness was a form of soul destruction, a way of separating from divine grace. He saw overindulgence as a trap that pulls us away from prayer and deep self-reflection. Other mystical accounts speak about what happens when alcohol is used carelessly. In shamanic traditions, alcohol is believed to weaken the light body, the energetic shield that keeps us in harmony with the universe. Many shamans say that alcohol opens us up to parasitic energies, negative entities that feed off the low vibrations created by intoxication. These diverse teachings all point to a shared truth. Alcohol is a powerful force, one that affects both our physical form and the deeper levels of our being. It severs the link to what mystics call the axis mundi, the spiritual axis that aligns us with the universe and helps us move between the material and the spiritual. When this alignment is broken, we lose our access to intuition, clarity, and higher consciousness. Still, not all perspectives are warnings. Some spiritual masters acknowledge that in ritual contexts and with pure intention, alcohol can act as a gateway to altered states of perception. But they always stress this must be done with great care, respect, and under proper guidance, because the line between sacred ecstasy and spiritual harm is incredibly thin. Lastly, we should reflect on the words of the Greek philosopher Socrates, who taught that self-mastery is the foundation of a virtuous life. For him, true balance was the root of all philosophy and spiritual practice. When we give in to alcohol without restraint, we surrender that self-mastery and become vulnerable to forces that cloud the mind and dim the soul. These mystical accounts and warnings ask us to consider, when we drink during moments of fun or celebration, does it truly lift us up or pull us down? Does it bring us closer to the divine or just create the illusion of freedom? By listening to the wisdom of the great teachers, we can begin to see alcohol in a new way, as a symbol that challenges us to seek a different kind of intoxication, one that comes from the awakened soul, radiant with light and truth. After looking at alcohol's origins, its effects on the energy body, the illusion it creates, and the spiritual warnings passed down through time, we now arrive at the most important question: how do we break free from this cycle? How can we rise above dependence, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, and discover a new perspective, a life of clarity and connection to our essence without relying on emotional crutches? Liberation begins with awareness. When we truly understand the effects alcohol has on our body, mind, and spirit, something inside us begins to wake up. That awareness is the first spark of transformation, the beginning of real change. It's the moment we stop running on autopilot, driven by habits or the urge for quick pleasure, and start questioning our choices. Why do we turn to alcohol? What are we really trying to fill? The answer to those questions is often hidden in an inner emptiness, a feeling of being disconnected that so many of us carry. Alcohol, like other forms of escape, offers short-term relief, but it doesn't address what's underneath. It's like wearing a mask when times get hard. A mask that always falls off, revealing the pain we haven't resolved. To break the cycle, we need to turn inward, because that's where the real answers are. Spiritual practice is a powerful tool on this journey. Meditation, yoga, prayer, breathwork, and other methods help bring the body and mind back into balance. They strengthen our energy field and reconnect us with our inner self. As we learn to quiet the mind, old emotional wounds naturally rise to the surface. And as we gently process them, we begin to see that the peace we were looking for outside was always inside, just waiting to be found. Many spiritual traditions offer practices specifically designed to overcome addiction. In Buddhism, for example, mindfulness teaches us to observe our urges and cravings without acting on them. Instead of reacting impulsively, we learn to pause, breathe, and choose consciously. In Christianity, the idea of divine grace reminds us that we are not alone in this process, that higher support is always available. To those who truly seek it, ask, and it shall be given to you. Reconnecting with nature is also essential. Alcohol pulls us out of harmony, but nature helps restore it. Spending time in the forest, the mountains, or by the sea helps us return to that natural rhythm. The earth's energy is healing, cleansing not just the body but also the mind and spirit. Another key step is practicing gratitude. We often reach for alcohol when we feel our reality isn't enough, when something feels missing. But when we learn to be grateful for what we do have, even the smallest things, we begin to see the beauty in the present moment. Gratitude opens us to life's richness and dissolves the emptiness we once tried to fill with substances. I know it's not always as easy as it sounds, but it all begins with intention. And my message to you is this: you are not a slave to anything. You are the master of your own consciousness, and you don't need any substance to feel happiness or live a meaningful life. Community is also important. You don't have to walk this path alone. Surrounding yourself with people who share your values and intentions can change everything. Spiritual groups, meditation circles, even mindful friends can offer strength, guidance, and encouragement when you need it most. And finally, we need to practice forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness. Many people carry shame or guilt about choices they've made with alcohol. But as Rumi said, the wound is where the light enters you. Our flaws and mistakes are part of the journey. They're how we learn and how we grow. Breaking free from alcohol isn't just about giving up a substance. It's about embracing a new way of being, a freer, more aligned way of life that reflects who we really are. Picture this transformation like a tree in springtime. Even after a long, cold winter, new life returns. The branches fill with leaves and fruit. That's how it is for the soul. When we free ourselves from the cycle, it's a rebirth, a chance to bloom again, stronger, more awake, and more connected to the divine essence within us. Alcohol may have been a shadow along our path, but shadows only exist because there is light. When we choose liberation, we choose to move toward that light, toward our truth. So the question is, are you ready to take that step? To look beyond what the outside world offers and discover the endless source of peace, joy, and clarity that's always been inside you? Thank you for watching.